just to knock some of these news items down, the former Kentucky State police officer, KSP, had taken a plea deal. There was four police officers that had resigned because of this 15-year-old. They're all having sex with. They're all having sex with this 15-year-old. Then a whistleblower, Jasmine Lindsay, came out and said, "Hey, don't do that." And so this is it's actually it's very disturbing, right? They're the ones that are supposed to be upholding the law, and yet they're the ones breaking it. One of the officers had said that he didn't know that she was underage since the other police officers were having sex with her. Well, why would they be having sex with her if, she's underage? And he said that out, I shouldn't be, he didn't ID her. He didn't ID her, right? So that happened. That just happened. It was in Brandenburg, which is Meade County. This is October 1st, WDRB. A former KSP trooper takes a plea deal, but the judge still has to approve it. That's something that's going on. I'm trying to scroll down for the guy's name. I think it was Young or something. But again, this is not just unfortunate, but this just shows a culture of criminality amongst the authorities. Those who have power, it seems like if you have absolute power, then you will become corrupt absolutely. So it's at Stratford Young. Sexual acts following. They hung out like every night of the week, and then something about that he would still be there. It doesn't matter. He would wait until she was older, whatever it took. He would be there. So he pleaded guilty to 3 counts of unlawful transaction with a minor, lesser charges than rape and sodomy. So he was charged with rape and sodomy, but he is going to plead guilty to 3 counts of unlawful transaction with a minor, and that's pretty that's a good thing. I mean, I think that I guess he doesn't get no jail time. 2 years. A sentence of 2 years on each charge, running at the same time with a 5 years probation, so no jail time. So I'm not for sure how it's going to be, and it says that he will not have to register as a sex offender. So I don't know. That's the justice system, right? So is it enough? Did they beat him, or did they get him enough? It says, well, he's lost his job, he's lost his house, he's suffered enough. That's what the lawyer said. I don't know. For asking a guy to take a step outside, I got kicked out of school. Now I have this, abuse of a teacher. I say, hey, you want to take a step outside? Don't abuse me. And, short, bald, fat fucking piece of shit Cloverport. And that's what I think. I grew up in Kentucky, valedictorian. This is just who they are. They do not try to empower you. They want to oppress you. And that's the name of the game. That's the name of the game. Real quickly, KET had actually said that the definition of domestic violence is a pattern of not just physical, but mental, emotional, sexual violence. That is or abuse. That's the definition of domestic violence. And so domestic violence is a pattern of mental abuse, a pattern, and it's all for domination and control. Well, that's 100% compliance. That's what the school system does. 100% compliance, domination, control. You do what I tell you to do. And this is supposed to be a free country. We need to get our young people to be strong-minded, strong characters, and freedom. They need to be good stewards of being free. So that happened. There's another thing that's going on is Ramsey's paying a bunch of employees, under the table or from his little foundation fund. That's still going on. Lots of money being, going out. They're reporting it, but they're not, it doesn't seem like they're going to be, no one's going to get in trouble for any of this. But this was going on the entire time. And I remember actually asking the Cardinal News if something came out, on the president, would reprint it, and they said, no, no, he's in a position of power and authority. We're not going to, we kiss his butt. We don't, we don't want to expose him for any wrongdoing. Well, that's not exactly independent, is it? And that was Ray Hodge, and that was somebody else. I don't know. So that's going on. The clerk, Ken Davis, is suing Brashear, and he's saying it's absurd. And that's pretty much the end of that. At the very end, this is IUSB preface. It says, I just want to start by thanking my Lord and my Savior, Jesus Christ, because without him, none of this would have ever been possible, for he is my strength that carries me. Her job is to just, it's a clerk, so she's got, she's got, I think, driver's licenses, and she gets 70 grand, right? 70 grand to be a bigot, and she's acting like she's being persecuted, and she's not being persecuted. She's the one persecuting. So, lastly, back in my hometown, there's this is actually good, but it took the Kentucky State Police to actually file charges because locally they're in favor of child abuse, but there was James Newman and Gabriel Freeman were putting cigarette butts out on the kid. There's a kid that had cigarette butts put out on him. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck? That is, that's sick. That is sick. So that's, that I'm glad that might, hopefully that corrects some of the, which they've gone off the deep end, right? They, I don't know. I don't understand them, to be honest with you. It doesn't make any sense to me. But that's, I don't know, the criminal justice, they pick on powerless and people without money, and they just want to, you just say guilty. It's a slaughterhouse. They don't care about the justice. And once you got charges put on you, even if it's one of these cops, right, that's fucking 15-year-olds, you just have to go along with it. But this kind of offsets, KSP, ex-members, fucking the 15-year-old, but these Kentucky State Police had arrested these two people for putting cigarette butts on a kid. And so, one doesn't fix the other, but also, I don't know, I just noticed this too, WDRB reported this one too, but they don't mention the people who had arrested them. Again, they write the article as like, well, they did something bad, now they're going through the, this is what bad people go through. Well, who arrested them? Who found this out? There's a whole story there. And we're all innocent until proven guilty, but this article is definitely written as guilty. There's a picture, they're in jail, they've been arrested, they've been accused of this, and they said, repeatedly on the leg, police say, and that's all they need to say, right? Police said it, so clearly it must be true. Well, they just said it. Do they have evidence? They have pictures? I hope they, I'm sure, maybe they do, maybe they don't, I'm not saying that these folks should get away with it, but I think the articles should be written in a more neutral, way. So, it's 4 pieces of news that's going on. It's, October 5th, John Masters, Perry County, Kentucky. Peace.